What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to share with you 3 envelopes that I just recently got back in the mail. I'm guessing they are of vintage baseball or football, so we will just rip these right open and see what we got. Okay, the very first one is of 3 1959 tops of Bob Conley, signed in nice blue Sharpie. And Conley actually had a very brief Major League Baseball career. Although he spent almost 8 or 9 years in professional baseball, he only got an opportunity to pitch in 2 Major League Baseball games, which seems amazing that he only had a chance to play in a couple games. And these are for some Phillies teams that were pretty bad during that era. So you would think he would get another shot at, playing, but it just never materialized for the guy. So he was signed out of high school, out of Kentucky, and he, in 1954, went and pitched for the Philadelphia Phillies B League team and went 14-16 as a starter, starting 28 games. So he spent 54, 55, 56, 57, and almost all of 1958 pitching in the minor leagues. However, he got a brief call-up to the majors in September where he appeared in 2 games, and he got no decisions in both of those games, and they were both games that he started. However, the outings were not that great, as his career ERA actually and his season ERA is 7.56. So in total between both games, he only lasted 8.1 innings. So if you want to say average it out, four innings per start. So after the 1958 season, he was sent down, and in 1959 and 60, he was back in the minor leagues. He played almost his entire career for the Philadelphia Phillies organization, except for his last, where he finished up his career. So it just amazes me that this guy never had a chance to pitch another game, not even as a reliever. You'd think, even if he was a failed starter, that maybe he'd get a chance to, get in the pen one day or, something like that, just to prove that he could pitch again. But the amazing part about his lifetime minor league career, and that's why I say this again, why he didn't get another shot, that out of 121 decisions in his minor league career, which was like a 10-year span, he won 68 of those decisions. So he had a winning percentage of almost 56%. You would think a guy that is a 50-50 pitcher, I guess you would say, would at least have another opportunity. But, tough times, I guess. Maybe Gene Mauch wasn't a big fan of his, or whoever the manager was at the time. And, he was forever a AAA pitcher or a minor league pitcher. So I'm very happy to add these autographs to my collection. I've had one of these 59 tops for years, and I just never got around to sending them to Mr. Conley. Time passed, whatever. I was always hoping that I would get an opportunity to find another 1 or 2 to send his way. Well, that opportunity arose recently, and I found a couple copies of the 59 rookie for only like 50 cents a piece. So I snagged both of them up, threw them in an envelope, and as you can see, Mr. Conley signed them for me. So very happy to add those to the collection. All right, so this next individual played a long time in the league, and this is former Pittsburgh Pirate and St. Louis Cardinal Bob Skinner on 1, 2. That one has a slight smear on it. A 3 with the father-son card with his son Joel. By the way, great name. And my Pirates playing cards. If you guys remember, I've been sending these out, a little frequently to guys and getting them back slowly but surely. So 404 on Bob Skinner. Now, Bob Skinner was a California native. He is one of these guys again that was a lifer in baseball, from being a player to being a manager to being a coach to working in various scouting front office capacities. This gentleman has had a career in baseball, a career that I can only dream of, to have the ability to say, hey, I spent 50 years in baseball. That's just awesome. So out of high school in California, he was selected as a free agent by the Pirates. However, after only playing one season for the Pittsburgh Pirates minor league system, he was selected to serve in the military for 2 years. So after his military service, he was back with the Pirates in 1954, and they actually brought him up to the major leagues, despite not playing for the last 2 years. My guess would be maybe he was on playing baseball, for the military, so he didn't get out of shape or, get injured or anything while in the military. So the 1954 Pirates saw him at 22 years old, and they put him in the outfield and basically let him do his thing. And, he responded with a fair season, as a minor leaguer. In 1955, he found himself back in the Pirates minor league system. He spent the entire 55 season there, but in 56, he would return to the Pirates and basically take over the position in the outfield again. But he struggled again in 113 games. Well, the following year in 57, he broke out, and he batted .305 and hit 13 home runs for the 57 Pirates. The following year was very similar. He actually made the All-Star team that year, batting .321 and hitting, again, 13 home runs. So in 59, he also hit 13 home runs. So a model of consistency for 3 years. 13 home runs a year, 300 batting average. Actually, it dipped down to 280 that third year. So in 1960, he was part of the 1960 Pirates, the world champion 1960 Pirates, which, as you guys know, I've shot many, many videos with a lot of 1960 Pirates players in them in the past. So this is just another one that I've added to my collection. He spent the 61, 62, 63 season, part of the 63 season with the Pirates, until they decided to trade him for Jerry Lynch in 1963, midway through the season. He spent the remainder of the 63 season with the Reds. Then in 1964, he was also dealt to the St. Louis Cardinals as a mid-season addition in June to the Cardinals, where he eventually went on to win the World Series with the 64 club. So he was on the 1964 World Champion Cardinals just as well as the 1960 Pittsburgh Pirates. Well, he spent a couple more years in St. Louis, 65 and 66. Then eventually the Cardinals outright released him. So after being released by the Cardinals, he was able to get a job with the new San Diego Padres. And he coached with the Padres, the California Angels, and the Atlanta Braves. He also became the interim manager for the 77 Padres, as he only did it for a game until they found the replacement. But he also moved on to coach in the Houston Astros organization as a field manager for about 3 or 4 seasons, before he decided to retire from that and not retire, but work a different position with Houston, working as a scout for the Houston Astros organization. He worked in baseball for many, many years. I don't have an exact date on when he finally decided to retire, but his Wikipedia page does indicate he spent 50 years in the game. He was elected to the San Diego Hall of Fame, which enshrines the greatest athletes from the San Diego area. I'm very happy to add Mr. Skinner's autograph to my collection. As I mentioned, his son Joel also is in the game. I want to say he recently was managing somewhere in AAA or AA, somewhere out on the East Coast. Hopefully I'll be able to maybe track him down and get the other half of that card signed someday. So we'll see what happens. Thank you again, Mr. Skinner. Alright, so this final one, This gentleman is from my neck of the woods in southern Illinois originally, in St. Louis. And it is former Baltimore Oriole Dave Nicholson on 1, 2, 3, and 4. And he also played for the Royals as well. I forgot about that. Nicholson was given the name Big Nick by the towering home runs that he hit while playing for the Chicago White Sox in Comiskey Park. In 1964, he hit a home run that went 573 feet onto and over the left field roof of Chicago's Comiskey Park. One of the things that it talks about on his Wikipedia page was that he had a very unusual batting style. This was somebody that had a career lifetime .212 batting average. And despite the .212 batting average, this was one of those guys that could hit mammoth home runs. When he connected, they went far. Let's put it that way. In 1963, in 126 games and 449 bats, Nicholson struck out an American League leading 175 times. This would remain a single-season franchise record until Adam Dunn became a White Sox. So Adam Dunn let him off the hook in 2011, so to speak. So as you can imagine, Nicholson was a free swinger, I guess you would call it. And if he hit the ball, you better watch out. But sounds like he was a very, I don't want to say easy, but he could be struck out quite frequently. So over his career, he played for the Baltimore Orioles, as the card indicates there. Played for the Chicago White Sox, which is where he made his most notoriety. He actually cracked 20 home runs one season for the Chicago White Sox. He also spent time with the Houston Astros and the Atlanta Braves, as it indicates the Kansas City Royals, on this card here as well. A lot of his career, I don't want to say it was interrupted, but most of his years were not consecutive in the major leagues. He would spend 1 year in the majors, then he'd be in AAA, then he'd be with another club, then he'd be in the majors, then so back and forth between the AAA bus and the major league bus, so to speak. So very happy to add Dave Big Nick Nicholson to my collection. He's actually a St. Louis native, and he actually lives in my native southern Illinois, still to this day. So very happy to add his autograph to my collection. I had never gotten his autograph before, so very happy to do that. Very happy to add Bob Skinner on another one of my 1960 Pirates collection and playing cards. And of course, let's not forget Bob Conley, who appeared in a whopping 2 major league games for the Phillies. But that's the name of this channel. Remember the greats. And I would trade my career of not playing baseball to play 10 years in the minors and two games in the majors any day. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for signing for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, happy collecting.